What's up guys, Barry here, and in today's video I'm going to share with you a couple tips and tricks that you could use to add a more humanized touch to your beats inside a Maschine. We're going to look at velocity destination, pitch modulation, and adding layers through zones to achieve a more humanized feel to your beats. With that said, let's jump into Maschine and get this video started. Alright, so I got a kick, snare, and hi-hat loaded into Maschine. With fixed velocity on, they sound like this. And with fixed velocity off and no adjusted parameters, they sound like this. With fixed velocity turned off, it's way more dynamic, but let's dial it back a little bit. Using your right arrow, you're going to go all the way to page 6, which is your velocity destination. And there, you'll find your volume control. At 100% volume, it goes from softest to loudest. At negative 100, it'd be the opposite. Personally, I like to maintain a lot of dynamic range for my hi-hats, so I keep it around 70 to 80%. For my snare drums on the other hand, I like them to hit at a relatively consistent level. So 20% is pretty good for me. For my kicks, I like to have a little ghost kick, so around 40 to 50% works well for me. But again, you should be adjusting these parameters based to your personal preferences. So where velocity destination allows us to add a more humanized touch to volume, let's head over to the LFO page to add a more humanized touch to pitch. So for example's sake, let's turn it up to 100%. Let's dial it back to around 5% because we want the change in modulation to practically be unnoticeable. And we do this because we want to mimic the change in timbre and pitch of when a drummer hits his instrument. Adding some drive would also get you some good variation. Alright, cool. So let's add some pitch modulation to our drums and then give our drums a listen after these changes. Alright guys, so that was velocity destination and pitch modulation, and how you can use those two parameters to add a more humanized touch to your beats inside a Maschine. Let's take it up one more level, jump into Maschine software, and add some layers through zones. I go through these steps pretty quickly, but I do have a very detailed video on layering sounds that I'll leave down in the description. So what I want to do is add a hi-hat sample with a sharper attack that we can use to add more variety to our hi-hat pattern. So the trick here is to adjust the velocity level of that second sample so that it only triggers as you hit the Maschine pads harder. Alright, cool. Now you have two hi-hat layers that trigger differently based on how you hit your pads, which will get you closer to achieving that more humanized feel inside a Maschine. Let's go through those steps one more time and layer an additional sound to our snare drum. Alright guys, so that's 3 tips and tricks that I personally use to add a more humanized touch to my beats inside a Maschine. If this video brought value to you, please consider hitting that thumbs up button, and of course, subscribe. Peace.